people would be.
I was gonna say, I thought it was like a mandatory thing. Well, it should be, but I can't make people come.
Yeah.
After all next finishing up office hours, that could be good.
I thought the website was interesting. I didn't know that even existed.
Yeah.
Stuff on it.
It sure helps explain things
Yeah.
to the client.
Yeah.
That's the main thing that. Hey, you are.
Did I miss a call from you?
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, I was probably in class.
Yeah, let's see. I added a slide to this about Senior Design Day
Oh, right.
that we didn't
Right.
participate in last year because it's kind of like too late.
Yeah, we had, I think it was 1, 2.
Yeah. Well, they didn't announce it till real late.
Who's in charge of that?
Kathy Hubbard.
Oh.
So maybe this time.
Maybe
Hey,
we should, yeah,
we can get started early.
Yeah, we can get on.
Don't wait for Kathy. So they're supposed to record this here today.
Oh, great.
And I guess they're going to record whatever's on the screen so we can. Please remind me to flip back to us. Let's zoom out. There we go. Yeah, that's right. It's mandatory. Even if it's not, I think it's going to be helpful to you. Hey, ladies.
Hello, how are you?
Great. How's it go?
Good.
I think it will probably just be half an hour or something
Okay.
like that. Be a long, drawn out thing. Well, we'll wait to see if a few more don't show up. This is actually going to be pretty informal. Just want to, Dr. Olnick and I wanted to kind of get you thinking about senior design in the spring. There's some familiar faces from last spring. Lots of times what's happened in the past is you wait till the semester starts to get going. And some people didn't get their projects until just before spring break. And then you only have a rest of the semester to kind of do the entire thing. And you can't do a very good job. And everybody's stressed out. And so what we're trying to do this year is to get started early or earlier. And right now, our job is to go out and locate projects for everybody. And but I think part of what we want to encourage here is for y'all to think about what you might like to do. I mean, I'll go out and I'll just work my network and see, because I know people that have at different companies, and Dr. Olnick has plenty of contacts too, and we go out and do the sales pitch and see if they don't have something for y'all to work on. But I don't assign projects to anybody. You choose a project, because then you'll want to do it. You know, you'll enjoy it more if you're working on something that you would like to work on. And so, I mean, one of the things we're going to encourage you to do is to think about maybe places you've worked before. Think about your family and what it does. I've had people come here and, my dad's company needs this. And we talk about it and develop a project around something that would, counts twice. Counts for the course, but also helps out somebody you care about. So, that's just a 2-for-1 win for everybody. Of course, the most memorable one was the guy from Mexico whose family ran an orange orchard, and they had a whole lot of agricultural problems, including should we sell it on the tree, let people come pick their own, or should we sell it by the road after we pick them, or should we drive them to Mexico City and sell them for an even higher price? As well as should we put in irrigation, it's going to cost this much, it'll increase the growth so much. And just all kinds of good problems like that. And his family, you know, it was not like a rich family, it was just regular folks. And so they don't have engineers working on things. So this is kind of like a nice thing to be able to help them out with. And so everybody wins on things like that. But I mean, if you had an internship or a summer job, or last year, I just made a list of the projects we ended up with last year. We had a number of other ones that were not selected, but last year, one of the people in the class, Dad worked for, was at Sam's Club, and Sam's Club was starting a analytics group here in town, and you might want to give Dr. Olnick one of those. Yeah, he needs one. He hadn't seen this. I just did this a few minutes ago. And so they ended up with a decent, you know, a good project from that connection that they had. And let me just, I've got this little, we and I can both talk to this about kind of what the story is on the project itself. And so it's our capstone class. Here's a bunch of folks ready to graduate. This will be y'all here at the end of the spring term. And so it's just a capstone class, but the idea is to find consulting jobs for everybody. But you can go out and work on a real consulting job on a real problem with local industry. I mean, sometimes it's not local, but we've had them all over the place. I remember the team used to drive down to NASA headquarters near Houston every 3 weeks just to work with them. Yeah, her dad worked for General Electric that made jet engines that NASA used. And when it was all over, I flew down for the final presentation there, and they said, you know, we pay graduate students at U of H to come down here and work in the summer, and your team did better than they do. They were just so impressed with the work that our group did. And so this is, in fact, somebody started something that informs now nationally called Pro Bono OR. But that's what we've been doing since this course started back in 1980. Okay, we've done like hundreds and hundreds of free consulting projects that involve modeling, analytics, optimization, simulation, you name it. And so that's the whole idea. We work for local companies, national companies, nonprofits like the food bank. Nice video about that you can see. Government, I know the city of Dallas it was kind of too late for last spring, but it went down with, what's her name, the new civil engineer, CEE chair.
Metzger.
Yeah, Barbara
Metzger.
Yeah, and some other folks from here about projects the city of Dallas has, some of which had traffic studies that they needed to have done. Some of our students ended up on television as a result of their projects and this kind of thing. So there's so many possibilities here. And so basically we put together this in teams. I mean, if you really want to work on something by yourself, okay. But the way it works best is for 3 people to get together, maybe with a common interest or because they're acquainted with each other, and develop a project with an industry client. And so you get to put to use all these classes you've been taking for 4 years, and we've developed over the years some, also some promotional materials. This is, you'll see here in a little bit, this is like the call for projects flyer we had done with kind of how it works, and we'll go into that here too. And so step one is to identify a client with an appropriate project. And appropriate is important because sometimes we've had like somebody in our executive board, he's an attorney downtown, and says, oh, I really need somebody to come down and organize my files. And it's like, no. It needs to have in its heart some decision making, some simulation, optimization modeling, put to work the math and stat that y'all have had, exposure to, computing skills. And so then once we kind of figure out the broad outlines of that and make sure that this is an appropriate topic, then there's a kickoff meeting where your instructor, whether it's Dr. Olnick or myself, goes with the team to meet at the client's location and discuss it and see how this might all work. And with the goal of finishing that up by just the end of the semester. And so, I mean, some of the other degrees take a couple semesters, right? I think computer science is like a couple semesters.
Yeah, it's a two-part, I think.
Yep, and mechanical is one with an optional 2 now. It used to be 2 semesters. I don't know what double E civil do, but I mean, lots of times people will say, boy, it'd really been good if we had 2 semesters, one to kind of scope the project and then to do it. But hey, we're engineers, we can do it one if we plan ahead a little bit. And so that meeting is to help define the project better than just the broad outlines that had brought you together there. And part of our job here is to make sure it's not too big, like, Frito brought us that last time, said, we haven't been able to solve this problem, want you to help on that. It's like, oh, okay. And they're all PhDs and all this. But when we took a swag at it, and we got something I thought was pretty decent. But make sure it's not too small, like something you can go do in a week or 2 and you're done. It's like, we did have one like that down at the Federal Reserve Bank about an energy efficiency study, and they did it in 3 weeks, said we're kind of finished, give us another project. So we found a telecommunications design application for them that was a good project too. And then you work together with your instructor and figure out a solution and what data is needed. And part of that is going back and forth with the client to see what data is even available, to make sure the project's even doable. We have had 1, maybe 2 that have failed because there just wasn't any data. And it basically boiled down to predict the future 5 years from now. We don't have any historical data. It's like, how are we supposed to do that? I mean, you don't know how to do it. We're not electrical power engineers, and we don't know where all the data centers are going to get built around Dallas. So anyway, so we just cut our losses there and started something else.
Yeah, that's why it's really important to be thinking about this now, because the sooner you can have that kickoff meeting, the sooner any kind of problem like that will get identified.
Yep.
So things will go a lot smoother if we can get you all started, as soon as we can after the semester starts. Sometimes it takes a little while, and even once you have a client with a good project, sometimes it takes a few meetings to actually get all this scoped out. So some clients are very organized, and they'll have a lot of stuff for you to do right away, and they'll have it all. Some of them will just be kind of vague. Like, it'd be cool if somebody could figure out how to optimize this or that, and it takes a few iterations to get data or realize that you don't have the data. So that's part of the reason why we're trying to start this early.
Yeah, who's the one? Home Depot last time.
Yeah, Home Depot.
Oh man, It's like they had an analytics support group down in Austin that we were working with. And it was, anyway, it ended up with, there was no data, but we were supposed to somehow get data. They wanted the team to write a search engine. Then we could do a web crawler and go and pick things out of the Amazon history. Prices for
all kinds of products.
Yeah. The assignment was, okay, where's the gaps in home automation that we're missing, and where are the next big thing's going to be? You know, all the little echo things and all the cameras and doorbells and all that kind of stuff. It's like, after a while, it's like, punt, you know, just, sorry, and we found something good. So, and so normally you'll meet with your instructor weekly and with your clients probably every week or two as needed to, so it's not like you see them at the first semester and then semester's over and surprise, here it is, it's great, isn't it? It's like, no, that's not what we talked about. You don't want that to happen. So this is like a preview of like real world. So some of you are going to go to work for consulting firms, and you just need to learn how to work with clients and manage everybody's expectations. Let's see, what else we got? And then, so usually it involves developing a model. And more times than not, it involves developing a model using some software you've never used before. So just assume you're going to have to learn something new. And it usually is not a problem, but I mean, people haven't had a simulation class, but it needs to do a simulation. And so that's what the online videos are for. And the teacher here that does teach that will help you too. But anyway, just don't be surprised if that happens to you. It's just, but you got a new thing for your resume, you know. Okay. Yeah, I do Simio, no problem. And yeah, we had a group, remember the Haskell Avenue thing? That was on the
That's right.
Channel 5 or 11 interviewed our team, and it was about, they had to do a traffic study on Haskell. They said it was too much of a divider between north of Haskell and south of Haskell. Those two neighborhoods never got together because they never socialized or knew each other, because there was just this highway down the middle. It used to be a big highway that crossed way out in the north part of Dallas, okay, which is close in for us now. And so they built a 6-lane thing through there, and now it's lined with liquor stores, and so nobody goes across the street at night. And so we're looking at ways, working with Eric Bing, Dr. Bing, over in his global health group. We ended up being kind of the analytics group that supported their non-analytical people trying to solve an analytical problem. So, but they started to learn Simio, and then it didn't work very well for traffic modeling, and so I found some other one that was just great. So we got some really cool animation and it was just set for that kind of models, and so they learned that next real quick. But that's it. We build the models and test them out, interpret the results, just keep in touch with the client about this, and come to some conclusions. And then the deliverables at the end are just some recommendations from what you found out, a written report, a stand-up presentation to the client as well as to the class. Invite your client here so you don't have to do it twice. You know, and any software we created or any data that we collected, and just let them have it. And so, let's see. There's also something we haven't participated in before because they never announced it till the last minute. Apparently everybody knew about it except us. So there's a Senior Design Expo. This was like early May, and this is where senior design teams from all the departments make a poster, and there's a poster printing facility down in, or I guess it's up here now, one of the centers that'll do that, like we did for Research Day. I don't know if y'all happened across Research Day a few weeks back, but it's that kind of thing where you do just build a nice poster and just be there for a while to let people drop by and ask questions and tell them about your project, what you were doing. And so the faculty like that, the administration, the other students like to see what everybody else is doing, and so I like it. And so we need to put that on our calendar to do. But it's just taking what you're going to probably do on your final presentation anyway and just put it in chart form and then have it printed out. And so here's some of the clients that we've had in recent past. Burlington Northern Santa Fe, the railroad over there, I think they're going to have some interest again this year. IBM, Brinker is a regular for us. That they do Chili's and Maggiano's.
Yeah, several.
Yeah.
Several restaurants.
State of Texas, that was one we did for the evacuation model for Galveston. This had to do with the wildfire fighting and hospitals, toll road. Some of y'all might be interested in not-for-profits. I mean, usually there's several projects involving not-for-profits. We've worked a lot with Food Bank, and Dr. Olnick has a connection with one of the local schools about traffic problems that they have to dropping kids off and picking them up. It's a legit problem. We've had and SMU is a good source of problems too. Like, okay, how do we quickly clear out all the cars after a football game or this kind of thing? So they do a simulation of that about which ones you should routes you should close off and how you directed people, that kind of thing. There's I think I've already got some inquiries about that kind of, wasn't athletics, but it's more about effectiveness in marketing the graduate program. Sabre is a spinoff from American Airlines that sells solutions to a variety of airlines now. That's I guess where the travel agents go to get tickets is through Sabre, or you may go through Sabre and not know it. Lockheed Martin, the defense contractor UPS. The UPS people, we did one that was so good we got in trouble about it because the deal is that Tom Seams found this one. They called it a small package sort problem. So these packages are coming at them, coming at somebody that's throwing them into bins to where they go next. Okay, so this is UPS packages, and they're trying to sort those out, and they had a particular layout of those boxes, and they found that by rearranging those based on demand, and that they actually could do it so much faster they dropped a full shift. So that saved them a whole shift of workers from just doing what they were doing, but just doing it smarter. And some of these are repeats here. Top Golf we've had some with. ORM is a operations research-based firm that is a SMU spinoff that it's over here on Greenville, and they have a growing business in terms of marketing sales models to help companies really grow and predict what's going to happen with their marketing efforts. And so they like us, and so they always come and provide a project each year of all different kinds. So let's see. So this is the Dr. Owen, I'm just talking away here. Yeah, we just have two sections, same deal, both of them. So these are some example of what's appropriate. Quant methods, doable in 3 months. I always like to put this down, not mission critical. I mean, we don't want the responsibility of, if this doesn't go through, the company's going to get hurt.
Yeah, a lot of the good ones they're things that the organization would like to do. Mm-hmm. They're interested in finding an answer, and they're curious about it, but they don't have the time or the resources to do it themselves because they're things that are mission critical are taking most of their resources.
Yeah.
So, but it would be great if you had a team that could give us some advice about such and such. And then if it doesn't work out, it's not a big risk to the organization.
I always call them bottom drawer projects. It's like, man, that's a great idea. I can't do it right now. I'll just put it down there in the drawer. We'll get to it, And let's see. And so some of you might have seen our website. Let's see. This is helpful. It's explaining this to somebody. smu.edu/SR Design, Senior Design. And so when you go there, it should bring up this is the call for projects. Okay, so we've got a couple of PDF flyers here we can look at, but it's basically, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what will happen if you participate, what's appropriate, and some examples, topic areas. We've got some, we just took some of the abstracts of previous projects, so if you're interested in inventory management, we'll click on that, and so here were some that we did that involved inventory management. If you want to look at by different types of models, so let's see if there's integer programming. That one, it's an old one, but it appeared in the Interfaces Journal and the EMP problems. Got queuing theory. What do we got in there? Yeah, so there's always queuing problems. Well, picture's not showing there for some reason. But anyway, so this is kind of good for the clients can say, okay, what have you been doing in my particular area? And the frequently asked questions, I really encourage people, the clients in particular, to read this about, once again, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what does it cost? I've always thought that I have three points to make that really work. One is, this is a project for students to work on. So everybody's been a student, so everybody kind of relates to that. And I say it's at SMU, and everybody in Dallas likes SMU. And I say it's free. So those three things together are really powerful. Other departments like to charge, $5-10 grand for their work, but we don't. And what's the role of these instructors, and what are you supposed to do? And so anyway, just to kind of get the expectations set right at the beginning. Okay. So you can explore around on this as you like. There are, and this just has a little bit about what the projects, what you have to do here. There's also some other places for project ideas. Sometimes I've asked people to go, did y'all ever see the journal Interfaces? It's Informs Journal. It's just applications. That's all it is. Every other month, a new issue with a lot of applications of operations research in practice. And so what we want you to do is be thinking about what might be good, what kind of thing you would like to work on. I mean, we're going to be working, for example, let's see, is Science of Better still out there? Yep. And so this is what is OR, what it can do for you. And looks like it hasn't been updated lately, has it? So, but this used to be a place that Informs maintained, calling operations research the science of better, taking whatever you're doing and doing it better. And so let's see, I think I'm good. What else we got here? These are those general categories of analytics problems. I think we've got, y'all have all seen this picture before in some of your classes, maybe different stages of analytics. There's just a bunch of reports, ad hoc reports where you can ask for a report, or you can do some inquiries to drill down, or set alerts. And now you're starting to get up into, okay, why are things happening? And so that's descriptive modeling. And then you're trying to do some forecasting. So these would be, again, we're trying to extrapolate what's going to happen, try to predict things. And then finally, the top of the food chain would be, how can we do things better and optimize them? And so everything above this line here is our territory. And this is from the well-known books about the topic. And I'll put copies of this PowerPoint out on our Canvas. I was trying today to put all the lab sections together into one section so we don't have to copy stuff around. And so we can post some of that out here. And we're going to post a video of this session we're having here. So here were just some old ones. This is like a one-page overview of, this is from Pizza Hut. Yeah, Tom Seams found this for these folks. I don't remember what this was about. Purchasing patterns, about what kind of things people like to buy. Look at their clients. This was one about one of the people worked part-time over at Lockheed Martin, and Alyssa's her division chief gave her this problem about, this is an optimization problem about how should you outfit a given aircraft to take on a particular target. And if you have several underway, how do you allocate the resources to do that? So there was an optimization model built for that. We've done a couple here on how do you respond to wildfires, and if you can catch them early, then you can avoid all the things you're reading about in the paper today. And so we had done a couple projects about how to anticipate and how to respond quickly to wildfires here in the state of Texas. And this was about, from Encore, we have a alum down there, head of the operations research group. And this was about when a storm comes through town, how to assign the resources, meaning trucks and people and outside people that came to help to try to get as many people back up as quickly as possible by deciding what to put your repair crews to work on first and their priorities with the hospitals and all that kind of thing. This was from Topgolf. This was when they were brand new. They only had a few of them, I guess less than 10. Now they've got quite a few. And they had just opened one up in Austin, but they couldn't really figure out kind of how many people to expect each day. And so they collected some data there. And the reason that's so bad is that you don't know how many people to tell to come work tonight. And so people will come and they're just snowed under because there are just too many people, or there's nobody there and you tell people to go home. And so they've already come all the way over and they didn't get a night's worth of work and pay. And so they were growing so fast and making so much money, they just didn't care. They just blast ahead because it's really been growing quickly. It takes them a year and a half to break even on a new one of those. And I think it cost a couple million to open one, and they make that back in a year and a half. Couldn't believe it. I want some stock. So, this is from Sabre. This was on ticketing. I tried to, y'all remember Ramon Tres Palacios maybe? He was student body president. Our program seems to generate student body presidents. We've had, 3 of the last 4 or 5. But anyway, he was on this team. And this was a clustering problem, try to figure out certain types of travelers, and so that it's a market segmentation, where if you can put people in groups, you can, in particular where they're not overlapping much, to where you can market to them, give them, if this is like a family traveling versus a business person traveling to a gig in another town at a last minute call. Of course, you can charge these people more, and these people you can give them discounts, particularly with long-term advance purchase. So you can send appeals to them. So they were trying to figure out these different groups of their client base that, and so they could appeal to different ones. This was one about staffing for a call center. I can't pretend to explain all this to you, but the calls for support, I think, go in here and go through this network, this wide area network, and they have all these locations around the place. And there are different rules about who can do what. Let's see. And so they were trying to manage all these distributed work centers and people that work from home. And some, if you're an entry-level agent, you can handle certain problems, but when things get tougher, you got to hand it off to another type of agent. And then there's that person's supervisors. So in terms of what they can actually handle in terms of difficulty or problem, well, then they needed some optimization software to figure out how to staff up that process over time. And okay. And so this was, well, have y'all probably seen this, the American Airlines Center problem? Did y'all talk about that in the intro thing? Yeah. This was a cool project that was found by the student. Have any of you not seen this? This is the one. Everybody's seen it? Okay. No. Now Tabitha, she was this kind of little small, real cute Hispanic girl that went to this cocktail party where she met this guy that ran American Airlines Center operations. And he said, I think we've got an issue down here because we use the American Airlines Center for different things. And, if we could speed up the changeover from one type of event like basketball to ice hockey quicker, we could slip another event in between and make more money. He said, we don't make much money on the sports, the professional sports. We make money on these special events like Promise Keepers or Be a Leader or that kind of thing. And so we got this team together and developed a model for them that was pretty cool. But and this one, I think we're kind of didn't want to. I'd love to show this to you, and I'm going to encourage you to watch it sometime. This is available from that same web page, but this was we had a professional videographer to create this story about about 3 of our projects, one for food bank. Y'all seen this one too?
The Food Bank is a nonprofit hunger relief organization. Right now they serve 13 North Texas counties. And what they do is
Final
they distribute
presentation.
food to pantries, churches, soup kitchens, or schools, things like that.
SMU has a mission to create people that will bring huge value to the world, to the culture, society in many ways. And I feel like these engineering students absolutely nailed that with this. They picked the North Texas Food Bank, which has a compelling mission to end hunger in this community. They brought their gifts of science, analysis, and procedure to this organization, which already is very efficient and has provided us with something of value.
So when we were there, our initial task was to find which project or which process is making everything slow down.
And that's important to us because our 260 agencies, the nonprofits that pick up their food from us, are our #1 customer, are our frontline partners.
They're using one dock, loading dock, and there's 5 available. And they have multiple forklifts, yet they're only using one forklift to distribute the food. We basically created a schedule that would...
So this is like a 9-minute thing, but it's really good. And they also interview, they talk about the Galveston evacuation plan that they did for state of Texas, and also one from Southwest Airlines, a study that they did for them. But anyway, I love this little, this thing here, but this is what we're headed for, is having a group shot with a bunch of happy people, including the instructor, celebrating the end of the semester, and you've got something. These projects you're going to remember forever, and I remember my students almost by their project. You know, oh yeah, that was the thing when we went out and did that thing for these people.
Do you want to talk about the lab?
Oh, go ahead. I don't use the lab. We just.
Well, are we going to meet in the lab, or are we just going to use that as a meeting time for teams?
Well, we can do. I never use. I just had the people in the lab. They're supposed to be available to help you on your project. But one of the things is we only have class for a little while, you know, like a couple weeks, and then everybody's kind of off doing things. And so then we need to set up the weekly meetings for like 20 minutes each. And then how do we schedule those? So lots of times they end up being during class time, and then sometimes that's not quite enough, particularly at the beginning where he and I are running out to these kickoff sessions that usually take out half a day to do. So I guess we could use the lab if
But
the trick.
maintenance going to be a resource. So there's a TA
Yep,
who can help with software.
supposedly, yep.
You know, supposed to give you advice on those kind of things. So you all need to be enrolled in one of them. But I don't think it really matters which
No, we don't care, but
particular one it is.
no. One of the things that has come up in the past is there are a group of people that want to work together on the same team, and it sure helps if you're in the same section, because then it's impossible to schedule anything. Because I know I've got a class when you're taking the class, and so anyway, we want to try to minimize that if we possibly can. If we can work it out, and the final presentations are during your final exam period, whatever, and your MWF and my Tuesday, Thursday times are, I think one's the first day, one's the last day. It's like, okay. And so we'll have, 45 students. So that's, what's that, 15 teams?
Yeah, 15.
You can have 15 teams each
projects.
giving a 20-minute talk. So it gets pretty crazy. So if you know people you want to work with, or we can just work with people in your section, put together a team. That'll be real helpful when we get to the end. You're bound.
So if you have an idea, or an idea comes to you, you know, between now and when the semester starts, let one of us know, and we can kind of vet it and see if we think that's going to be a viable project. Because as Dr. Barr was saying, some of the best projects actually come from ones that students found themselves.
Yep.
You know, like just bumping into people at a cocktail party, or family business, or sometimes had students that have their own business. We've had several that were like that. And
So for Thanksgiving, come bring your project back here, and we'll just get your team going. Not that you have to work on it, but at least try to put the thing in a launch position. That's better. But so we'll be developing lists and post on the on Canvas. I usually just put out like abstracts of topics. In fact, there's some from last year people didn't take that. I thought were great, but nobody like that one with Chris Christensen. Remember him? He used to work for us over. He works.
oh yeah. He's
Yeah, the guy that
for
did.
the department.
Yeah, he worked for the department at one point, and so he's not in Dallas, but he's got a real good one about they do CMS content management systems, so they like deliver whether it's text or images or videos to websites like around the world, and they've got data centers around the world supporting things, and they don't really use models or optimization for, okay, what machines to put what on based on the kind of expected demand, and minimize the amount of traffic across the intercontinental cables, those fiber optic cables on the bottom of the ocean. And so he's got a cool project there. If anybody's interested in that, I think that'd be good to work on. I can give you more details. So we'll be posting them up there, and we don't care between us. We don't care who's the instructor lead on it. And so it may be something I find that you'd like, and vice versa. And so, it's your students. So this was just a list of some of the teams and topics from last year. You might recognize some of the names of your friends, but we have a lot of, and we'll even do cold calls for you. I mean, did I tell you a story about the guys that wanted to work for the police department? Did I tell you that in class? I was like, okay, these 3 guys come up and say, we want a project working with the police department. I said, what do you want to do? We don't care. We just want to work for the police department. Okay. So I called Dallas Police Chief Ben Clegg, gave the pitch to his office, and this is the way it usually goes. Give a pitch. Oh, that sounds real good. You need to talk to Frank. Okay, so I called Frank and worked on Frank for a while. He says, Joe's really got that area. I bet you he's got something. So anyway, you just follow the chain. It's better to come from the top than the bottom. You know what I mean? That your boss calls you with this. Why don't you check into this kind of thing, as opposed to the other way around. But we can work it either way. Then I found something. It was a great project, and you just never know where it's going to lead. So we're happy to go advocate or just go dig for you. If you say, I want to work on something to do with mountain climbing, I guess we could find something. But I'm thinking, I must have seen that. Y'all seen that, was it Free Climb, or what is it? Free Solo movie over there about this guy that climbs El Capitan with his bare hands, no ropes. Just like, but he did it. It's really exciting. So anyway, I'm thinking mountains these days. Any questions from y'all? We're just blabbing away, but you're bound to have some. Or if you don't have any right now.
So what happens if you go through a project and you don't succeed?
That's life,
It ends up just being like everything's going really great, and then just like a data hitch or something right at the end, and then it doesn't work. Like, do you still is your grade contingent on the success of your project, or is it just the effort and work you put into it?
No, I mean, we understand, and we're informed, and we're going to try and make sure that doesn't happen to you. And if it does, figure out what to do instead, or just say, well, consulting projects don't always work. I mean, around here, like 99% of them do, but they're just in the real world. You go out and do a consulting thing, and sometimes you hit a rock wall. And it's like, gee, sorry, kind of thing. But I wouldn't worry about that part.
Yeah, we use multiple criteria to evaluate the project. So you can still do a good job on a project that didn't work out, and then how well you presented, how you understand the background. Some of it's what the client says about it. So they may say it didn't work out the way we had anticipated, but the team did a good job with what they had, and they worked really hard.
And you did a good model, and you collected data, and you did everything right. I mean, that's an A. I mean, so it just we understand life. It's just the way things turn. But anyway, if y'all have other questions and you think I'm later, just send either one of us an email, or both of us. And be thinking about it.
Yeah,
I've also got a sample letter you can send to people about, hey, I've got this course, and so on. And so it might give you like a starting point if you wanted to do some inquiries, maybe a company you're interested in or wanted to work for someday or whatever, or you knew this friend of your dad's knows this guy that, and let's just get our foot in the door. Thank y'all for staying a little later.
Thank you.
Okay.
They have access to Canvas. I know that Canvas
When we
started
publish
to Is it so? Are you going to publish?
Yeah. I thought I would put all this stuff in the lab.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because it's the only I can't see your course, you can't see mine. And so, but that is one place we overlap.
Right. So we can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know how to do
Are
it.
you gonna do it yourself? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I can have Steve do it. But
Okay.
And like I
You deleted